What's up and welcome back to Pro Pels Talk episode 120, presented to you by Company Burger and DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NBA and Boot Crew Media. We have an awesome show for y'all tonight. We're going to preview the regular season. We're going to talk about what we liked in the preseason. We're also going to bring on Larry Nance for about 15, 20 minutes tonight and talk, just life and basketball in New Orleans and everything like that. So got the guys in the studio, Ross, Jarrett, Lito. How are y'all?
Hanging in there.
Still using my government, huh? They're going to keep that going.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm good.
Good. Chris Connor virtually. What's up, man?
Just trying to make the best of 48-degree weather.
48 degrees. Oh my god.
Yeah, man.
It's too early for that.
Another day, another do-rag. Yeah, that's what
got the J. He got the J do-rag on it.
I'm gonna write that one down.
Let's get into it, Lito. You had an awesome recap on Friday night.
Thank you,
I was gonna start the show off in my notes. I was like, I'm gonna start off with Lito. How good did Brandon Ingram look on Friday?
Man, Brandon Ingram looked like he's been playing the whole preseason. He doesn't look like he's missed a step. He looks stronger. Like I said in the recap, he gave DeJounte Murray a bump, and he sent his ass to the front row, and then he just shot the ball over John Collins so easily. Like Brandon is if Brandon is in that space like to start the season. Generally, he's been getting slow starts, but like if he's gonna start off like that, man, yeah, I love it.
5. We talked about would there be any rust? I mean, right off the bat, he starts off 2 of 2 from the field. I think he hits actually 3 of 3, has an assist, a rebound. He looked like he was ready.
I'm telling you, it reminds me of Kobe. I'm going to say that definitively. The video's going around again, but the movement, the footwork, he sees things before they happen. Like he knows everything.
Yeah.
There really aren't too many holes in his game. If he's knocking down threes, good luck. Good luck. It's Rap City. I don't see Brandon faltering this season. If he starts off like this, it's going to be after the game in Brooklyn. It's going to be, hey, next KD. Like this is what the mantra is going to be.
Yeah. We'll go Ross and Chris, because the biggest thing that everyone's trying to make up in their mind, and they forget that these two played together for a while. We'll go Ross and Chris. Ross, I mean, everyone's like, well, Brandon and Zion haven't played this preseason. Do you think that's going to be a big deal for those two to get a little flow first 5-10 games, or do you think they'll just pick up right where they left off?
I tend to think that they're going to be fine. Zion just gets so much of his stuff outside of the flow of the offense that I'm not really that worried about it. And I think Brandon is mature enough now, has gotten better year by year at getting others involved. And he's not a selfish guy. I mean, they're not selfish guys, but I don't think it's gonna be a big deal. Like I said, so much of what Zion gets is easy stuff outside of the way the offense is designed that I think they'll hit the ground running.
Yeah, Chris, I mean, Brandon averaged 23, 24 points per game with Zion on the court. Zion put up not even career numbers. I mean, just incredible. Like sometimes never, like these numbers have never been seen. What do you expect from these two this year?
I think what's going to be interesting for them is that they're both in different mental shapes than they were the last time they played basketball together. Brandon seems way more confident and sure of himself, his spots. You really can't force him to do anything other than what his own decision is on the floor. And Zion, even before the foot injury, was already someone who, garnered the attention of everybody that was on the floor. That was one side of things. But if you listen to a lot of things that he's spoken about since coming into this return, about the different mental space that he's in and understanding, being able to watch this team from afar and kind of see where he can fit in and where he can help, and then the overall attention that he consistently is gonna, I mean, just watching Jimmy Butler leave Trey Murphy in a corner on a Zion drive, I mean, it was just beautiful. I think those two, they were pretty damn good offensively when they were together. But I think having a taste of winning and both of them being able to mature in different ways off the floor they're also in different physical shapes. The last time they were on the court together, I think it could make for them to they'll be the least of our problems, and for most people that should be what's expected.
Yeah. Speaking of problems, 5. I think the Achilles heel of this team is going to be defense. I saw that tweet today. Defensively, I think that this team, they have some concerns. Is that something that we should be worried about early on? I mean, you're going through the gauntlet right now. You got some really good teams these first 10 games.
Yeah, it is, because it's consistently the problem for me. You can't guard the 3. You can't shoot the 3, but you can't guard the 3. I think that's an issue for a league that's going in that direction, where if you can shoot, you can win. Yeah, we probably want to outgain our opponent, where we can probably beat the analytics of saying, all right, we're going to make more 2s and 3s, but it's kind of difficult sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we can play close to the basket, but we hope with Brandon's mid-range ability and Zion's, close to the basket, him and JV and CJ being able to pull up as well. Hopefully we can knock down a couple 3s here and there, where we don't just average 1 or 2 3s a game. Hopefully that's between 4 and 7.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's there and we'll be able to win games. But defensively, I think that's the issue with them not playing together, right? We haven't seen them play together. Offensively, I don't see that being a problem, but defensively, we're already not a consistent team on the defensive end. So the more times they play with each other, and the more times that they can play, in the system. And this is the actual question I actually have for you guys. How are we guarding? What's the coach's decision on guarding against other teams? Is it a game by game basis? What's our identity?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because Zion, when Zion played the 5, when did he play the 5? Was it against the Heat?
Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was against the Heat. They switched everything 1 through 5. When Jonas is on and he's the 5, they're in drop, right? And then sometimes they'll ice it, they'll hedge it. So it really does, because Billy Hernan Gomez, he hedges a lot. Yeah. So it almost kind of
it depends.
It feels like it might be a good question to ask Larry in a few minutes. But I wanted to go back to what you were saying about defense. I mean, do you think some of it is you should just take with a grain of salt, right? Because we're going to score, and we're going to score pretty efficient. Do you kind of just start to put us in that class of teams where we're just going to play some high scoring games because of how much we're scoring? There's just not going to be a ton of missed shots, because we're going to play a lot of stuff close to the basket. All right, Brandon's got mid-range stuff, and even CJ's is a pretty good shot. I don't think we're going to take a ton of terrible shots. I think we're going to score a ton of points. So are you more referencing that we're going to give up a lot of easy baskets, or is it the way we're defending, or are you just worried about us playing a bunch of high scoring games?
I'm worried about our principles. What are our principles on defense? Because our identity should be attached to that. Are we just going to give up easy baskets all the time? Well, we'll be trading. We did that before, and we'll lose games like that. Can we get stops when we need to?
That's the question.
Chris,
especially in the regular season, right? It's
no, that's a great question, Chris.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Chris.
One of the things that caught my eye, and I'm curious if anybody else, if it was an observation for others, outside of the Atlanta game, it felt like there was in their game plan, they decided, even for preseason, that they were going to make the others beat them. Against Chicago, against Detroit, against Miami, between Jimmy, DeMar, and the time that Zach ended up playing, when those guys would drive, a lot of attention would focus on them, to where you'd be looking at Patrick Williams or other guys taking shots that, we've seen. For example, you play Dallas, and Luka will score 50, and it's man, anybody else but him, or Jokic will score 30 plus or 40, that ridiculous game he had the last time that they ended up facing each other. Anybody but him. That's what I saw in the first games. The Atlanta game was a little bit different, but I did notice, and I'm wondering if that is a part of their mentality this year. Anybody but the guy. We're gonna make the others beat us. We can bet on them, because 9 times out of 10, our third guy offensively is going to be better than yours. We want your others, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth swing in the rotation, to beat us.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I wanted to bring this up, Lito. A guy that stood out to me defensively, I think all of us, is Dyson Daniels. Is there any way, and say we're late game situation, it's a possession game either way, you need to stop. Could you see Dyson in that closing group to replace maybe a CJ McCollum on defense, or maybe even a Zion, or maybe even sometimes a Brandon?
I would say not early on in the season, probably. Like, they're probably going to want to see how Dyson plays, when the lights are bright. I don't know, man. That's a tough question, though. I can't.
Because are you so worried about his offense that he's going to be that bad offensively?
Well, no,
is that why you're worried?
No. I'm going off how it's been going with previous rookies. Of if he didn't play Trey, right? I can't really see him putting Dyson in a position where he would be playing in over his head if Trey was quote unquote ready last year.
But the flip of that is that he did play Herb right away, and Herb was ready defensively, but maybe wasn't quite as ready offensively. So he showed a willingness last year, I think, to put more on those guys, the young guys defensively. I agree with you in general, because you still got to be able to play both sides. But the one thing Willie and them have done is, and he's been vocal about it, is that if you play defense, they're going to find a spot for you on the court.
Yeah, and look, to go back to the previous question of what y'all said, the defense in the preseason has been concerning to me, but I've tried to chalk it up as it's preseason, right? So it's like I'm not really being. I don't want to harp on it too much, because from when we last had a team, they were hanging their hat on defense. Like, this is how they got to the playoffs. So I would love if Dyson could come in and play defense, but I also think if we got to rely on Dyson to come in, that means somebody's not pulling their weight.
Ross, we'll go Ross in 5. I mean, a guy that's been just had an unbelievable preseason. He had a good summer league. Trey Murphy. Ross, first off, your thoughts? I think he's actually bringing on both ends. I think he's gotten way better defensively and offensively. We all know he could shoot. Now he's got the confidence with it. What are you liking from him?
The last word you just used is confidence. He's been far more willing to just either catch and go or catch and shoot. And then defensively, you saw him take steps at the end of last year. But even that is confidence and understanding what we're doing. I think they spent a lot more time with him on the defensive end last year than they did on offense. Like, you knew the shooting would translate at some point, and I think you're going to see it even more as he's playing more with Brandon and Zion, that he's going to get more open looks. But just continuing to go back to this defense thing we're talking about, it feels like the identity has to be built around the fact that we got even in a league full of huge dudes, we got a bunch of 7'2" wingspans out there, and they're going to have to be smart about finding a way to deploy that and utilize it, right? Because I think in late game situations, there is going to be some scenarios where we got a whole team full of, long arms and legs. And, I don't know whether that is maybe playing a little more inside the arc and saying, look, if you want to shoot way out there, that's fine, but we're not going to allow anything in here. So I don't know. But that's kind of went sideways from your question about Trey. I think he's looked great, and we saw the confidence build last year, and he's done more. I think you're going to see a lot more. I still think he's probably going to be the guy that takes the biggest step forward this season of anybody. But how we use even him defensively is going to be interesting to me, especially in the second unit.
5, do you think that Trey should be closing games with the way it's going right now? Offensively and defensively, we're talking about, he's starting to get it. Do you think he deserves to close games?
Yeah, he's your best shooter. Brandon and Zion need space. Even JB needs space, of course. CJ needs space. Everybody needs space. So the best shooter. Also, he's 6'10", with shoes on, and he's getting better defensively. The Atlanta game, I think Chris brought up, it was probably the best time I saw them rotate. They rotated the right way.
Yeah.
Even if things didn't go our way, we were in the right place. Habits like those are ones that I like to see. Can we do this in the next game? Can we do this again? We may not be great at defense, but the fact that we know what we're supposed to do and it can work, that's what I really want to see out of this team.
And just one more thing about that, Brandon and Zion, of course, haven't played together, but when we saw Brandon the last game, man, he was giving hella effort on defense. He was trying. And the same thing with Zion. The last time, we saw him, he was going after loose balls in the backcourt. Like he was making his presence felt. He had a couple chase down blocks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
that was the first preseason game, right?
Yeah. So regardless if they've played together, I feel like if they can build on that effort, that type of like that individual effort, then and then like when you out there with a guy like Herb and you see him trying, I feel like that's infectious.
Yep.
I mean, that's a great point. Chris, you got anything there? Or?
No, I mean, I love the comments about Trey and a lot what Ross said. I think it's a no-brainer that he ends up closing, and you can see the chemistry that him and Zion have right away. And hell, I mean, all the best shooters on the team that Zion has played with, they all have important connections to the team. You see pick and rolls, whether that's the best shooter having the ball in his hand. We saw a lot of those where Lonzo would be the screener, JJ Redick would be the screener. Those things are very important because of the attention that Zion draws, and it's going to allow Trey to walk into jumpers. And he's improved in a lot of different areas, man, from his shot release, especially in the corner. Ross spoke openly about his defense. He communicates a lot on defense. That's really important for this team, especially if he's going to close, because I heard Brandon communicate. CJ has his struggles. JV's going to have his struggles. Who's going to talk on that on that rotation outside of Herb defensively? Trey would be one of those individuals. And you can just tell the confidence, man. He's out there playing like a dude that's not worried that one mistake is going to land him on the bench.
Right. No, and I've seen that too. Lito transitioning into this. So before the preseason, we had a conversation, me and you right here. And I said, is this a 50-win team? And you said, hell no. We then a week later had a text message thread where I said, well, I'm just saying, do you think you said we might be a 50-win team? Do you believe that?
In my defense, I said we were going to win 48. So it wasn't like.
But you jumped down my throat here when I said 50. Do you think they're a 50-win team?
No. Ross is my witness. You were that day we did that pod. You were going crazy.
I was going crazy.
You were going crazy with it.
How can we not be contenders? I remember that. How can we not be contenders?
Let's go with 50 wins and contenders. Lito, do you believe it now, or is the stance still the same?
I think we can win 50 games.
Okay, contender though.
I mean, I hope 50 wins is
a contender, right? That's what I was thinking, right? I mean,
it's the West.
That's the other side of it, though. Like you still got the teams at the top of the mountain. You know what I'm saying? Like, can we knock them off? Can we not? If you're asking me, can we beat a Golden State still? I'm
not in a 7-game series.
All right,
there's two. But
I just want to see how far the contender was.
Do you expect to win the division? Is that a fair? Do you expect to win the division?
I think they can. I said that was. I think they can.
You don't expect? You think they can? So you're thinking that Dallas and Memphis are better than?
No. I'm saying they're a great team. Do I expect the Pelicans dominate the division? I don't expect it. Those teams are proven too. Sure. They've won playoff series. We haven't. So why do we expect to do something we've never done?
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's weird. Sorry to cut you off there, Chris. The division thing is weird because you talk about it in other sports about how important it is. And I think I said the day we did that crazy podcast, for me, that should be the team's goal this year. Like
division
is win your division, right? And because those are the teams that people consistently put ahead of you when you're talking about, okay, rank the West. Most people still put Memphis ahead of us. Most people still put Dallas at or ahead of us. Like, you go win your division, and I think that's the eye opener. Whatever happens in the playoffs happens. Go win your division, and I think you start to make people change the way they're viewing you in terms of how far they think you can go in the playoffs.
Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to comment on the 50-win thing. I don't know if I do think that they can win 50 games, but I don't know if that makes them a contender. And I only say that because there are teams that I believe can win 50 games that I don't see having enough to be in that final, even in that as championship contenders. Like, I could see Dallas, I could see Luka dragging that team to 50 wins again.
Right.
And me not believing that they have a shot at making it to the finals, even in the Western Conference Finals. I mean, I think we all see teams that, like, Chicago started off really, really well last year, and I forgot what they finished with, but they looked like a team. If they didn't win 50 games, they looked like a team before injuries hit. They were going to win 50 games. I didn't believe, even healthy, that they were good enough
Right.
to even be fourth best at the end in that Eastern Conference against the teams that were ahead of them. So, they have to, like, right now it's just about building consistency, and that may not end with them being in the Western Conference Finals. Maybe it starts at the division. You gotta start somewhere, because you're building this in something that you want to last for longer than just what this franchise is used to winning. At best, I mean, what they've had back-to-back winning seasons, I think twice in the 20 years. You want this to be, it feels different. It should feel different outside of just from what last year was. We want to see beyond just this year and next year above. So maybe the next step is just 50 wins or just winning your division. Whatever that is, we can deal with the expectations beyond that when they arrive.
Ross, you want to say something there?
No, I was going to point to the Jazz as an example of a team that I feel like it has been a 50-win team over the last 4 or 5 years, but we get to the playoffs and somebody's like, "Ooh, man,
right?
Oof.
Yeah.
Portland, what game is this?
You gotta go to Utah.
Yeah. What are we gonna do?" Like you're licking your chops if you're like, "Man, Utah's the 2 seed and you're the 7." You're like, "Man, we got Utah. That's what's up." Like, and so I just agree with him. I think we can win 50 games, but like,
what's
those two things?
That's fair.
Not mutually.
I think y'all make great points, Jarrett. I was gonna ask you this question. I think that with the Pelicans and how deep they are, right? Is this the most talented roster in the franchise's history, 1 through 15?
I would say yes. I mean, just
what were you thinking about? What was the other team you were thinking about?
Of course, Chris Paul led teams.
It's got to be better than the Baron Davis, David Wesley team.
Yeah,
Jamal McGlure.
Talent. We'll see. How about that? We'll see, because we have to see them be healthy. We saw that team, those multiple teams over a course of years. I want to see this team healthy and play together and see what that looks like before I say, oh, this is talent wise on paper. What does paper get us? Not a damn thing.
Pollution.
Should be recycled.
My answer to your question is a resounding unquestionably. Like, I don't think
you'll have to see a sec. I mean, on paper, obviously.
Yeah, right. Unquestionably.
Fuck the paper, Ross.
Yeah, like, fuck the paper. Like, unquestionably the most talented team, especially 1 to 10.
Yes.
Yeah, 1 through 10.
Like 1 to legit. 10, like of guys that are gonna play. Like think about how many years we've gone in. Kind of going to your point. Like some of those teams that got hurt, where you're like, man, if this 4, these 3 can kind of stay healthy. Like I feel like it's a pretty deep team of like really talented guys.
Deep.
And I think that's kind of why my expectations for the regular season continue to leak up a little bit.
Right.
Is because like you win in the regular season a lot of times on like the strength of your second unit. Like, you got to, like, those dudes play a lot in the regular. It's 82 games. Like, yeah, guys get hurt and this, that, and the other, and stars win games, everything else. But like a lot of times you win by coming in and just punishing someone's second unit. Yeah. Because your guys are better than theirs. Simple as that.
Yeah. I mean,
like,
sorry, go ahead.
No, so like I think it's a deep team, and I think it's going to carry us pretty far in the regular season. Now, what happens after that?
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Lito, we'll go Lito then Chris, because I think it is this front court of Brandon, Zion, and JV the best front court in the league?
The best.
Man, Brandon Ingram should be a 2.
He should be a 2.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
I think it should be. Wait, hold up. I want to get to that conversation.
I feel like I treat him like he's a.
Brandon Ingram should be a 2.
Naturally. I think he is a 2.
I think Herb's the 2.
The Herb's the 2 on the team. That's my issue. He's messing up Brandon Ingram's all-star thing. Brandon,
is that why?
No, but Brandon's naturally
that
a 2.
Needs to change too. But okay.
Brandon's naturally a 2.
He plays like a 2.
Yeah, he plays like a 2. He sees things on the floor, right? He can handle the ball if he needs to, but the fact that he's 6'9", like, oh, all right, he's a forward. Like, no.
Right.
He's naturally a 2. You see the footwork, you see the way he plays on the floor. He's a 2, man.
Okay, but just say that he's the 3 for the question.
Bump that, man. My dog needs his all-star. Like, Donovan Mitchell's gone. There's a spot open. I don't see Chris Paul. Brandon Ingram needs to.
Brandon Ingram will be voting for the 2.
He needs to be.
For this hypothetical, he'll be the 3 as the best front court.
I was trying to think of front courts while Five was giving that beautiful soliloquy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
2 guard.
Thank you, sir.
I mean, yeah, you know what? Yeah. Fuck it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chris, am I missing anything there?
Yeah.
Who would you compare the other front court to that was in question? I was gonna think
My thing was like
I was gonna think Clippers, but I don't know. I guess PG's the 2, right?
PG's
How
a 2.
good-
PG's the 2. My thing
How
was
good do you
like
think
my bad,
Minnesota
Chris.
is?
My bad.
Nah,
I was just gonna say. I was gonna say. I was just trying to think of 3 players that were as good as those 3 players.
Celtics would be Tatum, Williams, and
They start Horford.
Jalen Brown.
Yeah.
Jalen's
He's
a
a 2.
Right. Well, Brandon's a 2.
Sixers.
Well, if he's a 2, Brandon's a 2.
Sixers, Embiid, Tucker,
Who?
Tobias Harris.
Tobias.
Who?
Okay.
How good do you think Minnesota is?
Nuggets,
Lakers is
Lakers,
Bron,
AD, Bron, and
all right.
is it Reeves?
What about what about the school?
What you said?
I
T.
said
Wolves?
Minnesota.
Oh yeah, Minnesota.
Gobert, Cat, and
Ant.
is it
Ants,
Ant?
Ants one.
No,
Ants
He's
1 or
He's
2.
a 2.
He's a 2.
D'Angelo's a 2.
D'Angelo's a 1.
Does D'Angelo come off the bench now?
No, he starts.
He starts.
Okay, they're out. Suns, Aiton.
Nah,
Yeah, they're
guys,
nothing.
yeah, okay. Up all that. This might be-
Cavaliers.
Ooh.
You can't. Okay. Who's their starting? I know who it is, but can anyone in here name their starting 3?
Jared. Evan.
Mobley.
Okay.
Mobley.
Who's their starting 3? I know who it is, but I just want to
Probably Okoro. It's probably
he's
probably Okoro.
not going to start.
Damn, I don't know.
They said they're going to start LeVert.
Karras.
Karras
That
is
was-
2 though.
That's what I'm saying. So they're all jacked up too. So it's
Karras
not
is 2. Oh, because they brought in Donovan and they already okay.
Yeah, that's a good ass.
So I
team.
think the Pelicans.
that is a fun team.
That's
Like, that is a fun team.
Jesus.
We're
Pelicans
talking about non.
Pelicans are the best front court in the league.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's stamped.
That's much easier.
That's stamped.
Yeah.
it's clear, right? And I'm not missing it. I don't think we're missing any teams.
And if we were,
Fuck it.
Yeah, I'm still looking.
You got Jokic, Michael Porter Jr.
Write that
whoever
down.
else they
Like,
got.
But and Jamal Murray's a 2.
And Aaron Gordon.
Oh,
Aaron Gordon,
And Aaron
Porter,
Gordon.
Who does
and Jokic.
Gordon
I don't-
Porter, and Jokic.
Golden State?
That's what.
Who does
Golden,
that?
no,
I
I
mean,
mean,
I'm thinking.
and then,
I'm just wise
And then
man.
you're kind of sleeping on the fact that like Middleton, Giannis, and
Oh shit.
and Leto,
Whatever the fuck.
like, Middleton, Giannis, and whoever the big guy they throw out there.
Nah.
But he played a lot of 5 last year.
Oh,
too,
Brook.
so-
Brook Lopez.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. They got some other good.
Hey, Brook used to carry the Nets, man.
They need to get that man a ball in the post. Stop every post player. Every
Wait,
big doesn't need to
that's
shoot threes.
dead. That's dead now.
But
Leo.
Giannis,
No,
Giannis is coming through. If he's not the shooter, like, you gotta give
I'm
somebody some space.
I'm saying no, but it's times when Giannis isn't on the floor or Brook is on the floor. Like
Okay.
we
Wait, I got a question for you. We talked about this on the phone. Do you think Zion is refereed or called? Is the game's called differently than other players?
Hell yeah.
Then why is that a thing? Explain to me. Why is he officiated different than all the others?
They're gonna make Zion earn it, right? He's supposed to be a face of the league, but they're gonna make him earn it. Referees are weird. They're people, but they're weird. They're like a fraternity of people that, you gotta, if you wanna get in this cohesive group, you gotta go through it. We gotta put you through some stuff for you to get it. But also, I think the referees kind of go too far a little bit just because of his size and his abilities. Like, there was a call made on him. It was an offensive foul call, and I see sometimes people would say, okay, it's an offensive foul. With Zion jumps in the air, his elbow leads. Like, but what else is he supposed to do? Like, he's 6'6", he's usually shorter than the people that are guarding him. So, and he's getting higher usually than they are. So his elbow kind of gets in their face, but it's a basketball move. Sometimes you just get hit with elbows, and that's okay.
Right.
Just take it in the chin, pause, and keep it moving.
So,
I think it's the Shaq thing.
Chris, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah. Yep.
I think it's the Shaq thing. I think you
Okay, explain. I mean, it's the Shaq thing, but
because you could probably call a foul against whoever's guarding Zion every single time he has the ball in his hands. And when you're that physical, it makes it hard for referees. I mean, you could call one every single time. They're trying to, I think, in their mind, keep it balanced. I don't think it's going to be fair. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, like Zion doesn't do what some of the other individuals, some of the guards that we've seen in this league kind of oversell when the contact is there, which also stands in his way. If he chose to flop, if he chose to act as if he got assaulted at the rim, he would probably get more. But I think between that, how physical he is, I mean, it's Shaq-like. Shaq got, I mean, he ended up going to the line outside of the ones that, outside of hack of Shaq, like he was going to lead the league in free throw attempts. But even that wasn't enough. You know, so I think it's an odd balance. That's probably, it's unfair to him. And I don't think it's as easy as we want it to be, if that's fair.
Yeah, to your point, let me just say, because he, like, it's that thing where he's creating a lot of that contact. Then to your point, it doesn't mean it's a foul, but like, I think the official sees a lot of times where he's creating contact, and at his size, the other guy's reaction to the contact is what's getting the foul. It's not like because I don't find he's picking up a bunch of like silly fouls, or, you know, the ones where like he's just straight putting his shoulder, you know, I don't know. I feel like Giannis picks this one up a lot, like where basically he'll get it in the short post and just come
Just
over his
lower
left
it.
shoulder. Yeah. I don't find Zion's picking up a bunch of those. I think it's more of what you were saying, where it's like awkward stuff.
It's like he's going up and he just hits him in the chin. And
Yeah,
that's,
it's not the like the physical one like the Giannis one. It really is more of he's just creating weird contact. And I think maybe it's just more experience with the officials and stuff. It can be frustrating, but yeah, it's a different type of foul, I swear, than
like the normal
your
offensive.
traditional big
Right.
guy that's down there getting hacked.
My issue, my bad, Lito. My issue is just the charges. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, the defense,
Because they call that a charge.
yeah,
By the way,
those are my issues. Like, all right, that's not a charge. I mean, they're square, and Zion can create space. Basketball is a physical sport. Yes, he's bigger. That's just the game, bro. You cannot.
Right.
They've done this at least 3 years in a row when he's been on the court, where he'll drive, he'll have his man beat, and they'll fall back, and it's a charge. Like, that's not a charge. Like, you know, you can have legal guarding position and get bumped out of the way. It's not a charge. It's not.
Lito, we had a discussion with this five. I'm coming to you because does the charge block? Does it have to change?
In
Because I feel like Zion picks up those calls. It's Jared's just saying.
in his case, he's a type of athlete that they've never seen before. They have to get adjusted to officiating to him. In some aspects, yeah, it does have to change. Kind of like the take foul, like how they phase that out. At some point, like as the NFL is going through with roughing the passer, it'll be something that they have the rules committee or whoever have to look at. They have to modify, because guys are just going to get bigger, faster, and stronger. And a lot of times, like during the posting, like, yeah, you were talking to contact, but like all the contact bumps aren't the same. And a lot of times refs look at it like he's bigger than him. He should be able to take this contact back. And like, that's a foul is a foul. Like, it doesn't, like, call it.
That's my biggest issue.
Right.
My last point to this: referees watch tape just like anybody else.
Right.
So what happens, they'll see something, a referee will call it, and they're like, all right, that's the precedent. If I see this, me being a ref and I'm watching it and I didn't call it. If I see this in the game, I can call it because someone's already done it. That's my issue, because that could, that's a domino effect that's continuously going on. That Zion's gonna, not get the benefit of the doubt because they've seen this already. As soon as I do this one move up, it's a charge.
I've noticed this. We'll go to Ross and Chris here, because I've noticed this. I'm sure y'all have too, but I've noticed that Willie, and you mentioned this before, Ross, Willie has really been on the refs. It seems like he's trying to, I think it was like that first game. I think Herb took the charge. They didn't call it. He kind of lost his shit. And I've noticed a lot of Zion actually complaining to the refs. Ross, do you like that? I mean, in today's game, the perfect example is Luka. I mean, that guy bitches and complains all the time. He gets all the calls. Is Zion going to have to start doing that?
I think it's an unfortunate reality of today's NBA, especially for superstars. Like, you got to talk to them a little bit. And I think there's a relationship that's built over time of communicating what you think is a foul or how you're being guarded. And you've got to let the officials know earlier, like, hey, this, that, or the other. And so some guys I find are more egregious about, Luka's is a bit much. It seems like every single time down the court, and LeBron will go through stretches where it is too. But at the same time, back to what you're saying, like he's getting fouled every time down the court, and Luka is a big body like that, and so every single time, like so you probably, there's a frustration that builds up. I think it's a necessary evil. Like I hate watching guys constantly complain, but at the same time, if you're not saying, "Hey, this dude's hacking the shit out of me every time down," you risk not getting that call until you start getting it. I guess I don't know if I'm making my point there, but
it's politics. I mean,
it is.
Honest, it's politics, and that's, unfortunately, like that's just really, really how it goes. I mean, look at, like, I remember when Drew was here, when Drew was in New Orleans, we went through a lot of these conversations in a different manner. They're not, the way Zion plays and Drew plays and their level of contact is different, but he never got a call. He never got the calls that we thought he should, end up getting. We talked about it all the time. Well, guess what? Now Milwaukee wins a championship and he's getting a lot more calls. I don't know if it's an exposure thing. I don't know if it's an accolade thing. I don't know if it's a relationship building situation, because Drew ain't changed his way of talking to people, or he's really not that much more outspoken than he was in New Orleans. I'm not sure what it is, but my fear is honestly, I don't think Zion will ever be refereed fair. I mean, I don't think, and similar to what Lito said, the refs, the NBA, we've never seen anything like Zion. And if they do find a way to officiate him, it's going to take, I think, a lot longer, which means he's going to have to be on the floor for them to figure it out.
The other side of that too is, you mentioned Drew, you mentioned Zion, and I would say they have kind of the same demeanor. People don't respect humble. You got to advocate for yourself. Yeah. Nobody gives a damn if you don't complain, if you whatever, like if I'm fouling 5 and he's shooting the jumper, right, and like he just gets up and walk down the court, he don't say nothing,
right?
Nothing's gonna happen. Right. Like nobody. Oh, all right, he good with that. Like he good.
I'm gonna do it again.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep doing it until you start advocating for yourself. Like sometimes you gotta get a tech, throw a fit. You know what I'm saying? Like curse a rough out. You do something in order to. So they know next time you come, you got to pay attention. You look at, I see Zion starting to do that more. So
that's what I was going to come to you. You've done this before. Is that something, as a ref, you're like, oh, maybe I should start looking. I mean, he's clearly really upset. I should start looking at this more.
Yeah, of course. I mean, as a ref, for me, I didn't want to involve myself in the game. I'm just here to call what I see and move out the way. And if I don't see it, I can't call it. But if somebody points something out to me, cool. All right, I'll be more aware of it. If they do it in a respectful manner where they don't curse me out, like, all right, cool. I'll look at that. And 9 times out of 10, you'll get some kind of call, right?
But if, as Lito was saying, if he comes and curses you out, this and that, and you get him the one technical, like, all right, got it.
I mean, that's the politics of basketball. I think Chris brought that up. That's politics, bro. You got to play the game within the game, and that's a part of it. Right. And you don't, as fans, we don't want that, but that is it. That happens. That happens on every level, not just the NBA. That happens on every level. Like you got to play the game within the game.
All the greats did it. All the greats went back and forth with refs.
And I know Zion's only played 82, 85 games. I don't think has he picked up a technical foul? I mean,
I'm sure he has. I believe he has. Yeah.
But I mean, Chris, you're in agreement. He's got to start being more assertive with the referees and starting to get his calls.
Yeah. Superstar treatment is a thing. And when you look around the league, there's a lot of those guys. They've built those relationships with those referees, and sometimes it is for saying, "Hey, bro, like I'm not like that's bullshit. Like, yo, you got to call that." Now Zion, I think the worry, and I think sometimes with these players is that they feel like them speaking up about something is whiny, and it doesn't have to be that way. There's a line. There's a difference between standing up for yourself and speaking and saying, and like Lito said, not being humble about it versus overdoing it and complaining about every little thing that happens. I don't think that that's in his DNA, but you do have to hold even the referees accountable because they're not going to they're not going to see what you see out there. And it, unfortunately, it is a respect thing. They let things slide that, if you let them slide, and 5 made a really great point on that. Why why would they continue to call something if you're not the one, pointing it out and it's going unnoticed? So he's going to have to speak up eventually, and stand up for those calls that aren't being made, the obvious ones.
Yeah, I mean, good point there. I mean, last thing, we're going to get Larry Nance on here next. But, Ross, offensively, you had mentioned early on. I mean, seriously, is this going to be one of the best offenses in the entire NBA?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
If they stay fully healthy, they top 3?
Yeah. Top 5.
Why are you laughing?
Because it's tough. It's tough.
It's tough.
There's a lot of talented.
There's some talent, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, you got some serious talent here.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you got the two obviously that stand out in terms of, or at least stand out to me, are the Nuggets are going to be a really, really good offensive team. And then the Warriors are obviously always a really good offensive team. But I mean, there's teams like the Suns when they get it
Clippers
going.
have Kawhi and PG.
Yeah, I mean, there's some really good. But for me, it's about
he went.
You led with the Nuggets.
Dog, okay, like yeah. What you mean?
No, come on now, Ross. You led with the Nuggets.
I'm saying there's some really good offensive teams. The Nuggets are going to be a top 5 offense this year.
They're not.
They're going to be a top 5 offense.
That was that was on your top of your brain.
Yeah, because they're a team. Because if you've watched them, they're a team. They are. Because Jokic is a guy that makes everyone gets his effortlessly and efficiently, and makes everyone else around him better. And they were really good last year without Jamal Murray, and with Michael Porter just part-time. Like, that team's going to score efficiently on everybody. The Warriors are going to score efficiently on everybody. I think you put yourself into that top, 3 or 4 group. But no, yeah, like to your point, I know there are other really good offensive teams, but I'm telling you, that team's they're going to score.
All right, we're going to continue that conversation. We'll get our special guest in here, Larry Nance. Larry, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining. How are you doing?
I'm good, y'all. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So we're gonna get right into it, man. We were just talking about how this is probably one of the most talented rosters in franchise history. How dangerous can this team be this year?
We talk about this all the time, and we can be as dangerous. The way I see it is, we can be as dangerous as our health permits. Obviously that's the same, with a lot of teams, but you look at our depth and our talent, from top end talent to even, guys on the bench that may not see many minutes, and there might be Boston, Memphis is pretty deep, but there are not the Clippers. There aren't many teams that have real NBA talent, 1 through 15.
Yo, Larry, it's Jared. So, 2-part question. 1, who's your shoe plug? 2, I'm a big fan of the second unit. I think you guys compete at a different energy than the first unit. No offense to them. How are the practices, and do you guys beat them at any point in time in these practices?
So, to start, first of all, my shoe plug is confidential. I got to keep that. Hey, if I let that out, everybody be rocking the classic bronze. But no, practices, as there are times at practice, like the coaches will have live segments scheduled that they'll have to cancel because we played so hard against each other in the first place. And I've never been on a team where that's had to happen. And honestly, that stems a lot from Jose and Najee, just their energy and physicality and the way they bring it, whether it's pickup against some 12-year-olds or, playing against the first team, they're playing the same way. So, yeah, I mean, we beat them, they beat us. Like, honestly, like, there are some really good games that happen in our practice gym. And what's crazy is all these preseason games, granted, yes, it's preseason, like everybody's kind of talked about how, you get into the games and it's just so much easier than practice. So much easier than practice.
Hey, Larry, it's Lito, man. Thank you for joining us. I just want to say, you come from NBA royalty. Everybody knows who your pops is, and what he's done NBA wise. Your brother hoops at a great school that retired Coach K. And
Fucked up.
I just really had a question. Like, I want to know, two-part question. One, what's the family basketball sessions like? And two, have you ever dunked on your pops?
So it's funny that question is actually kind of answered. My dad took care of that when we were young, so I didn't play a whole lot of basketball growing up, but of course we play in the driveway. My sister actually played D1, 4 years D1 as well, and she's about 6'4.5". So it took a long time to beat her even. But I got to the point where I was close to beating my dad, and then he stopped playing. So to this day, I've never beat him because he quit. He said, "I'm gonna retire on top. I'm done."
Smart man.
And then me and my little brother, we can't, because then like we're both too competitive to where like we'll ride to the gym together and we can't play because then he ain't beating me, but we can't play because then he won't let. You know what I mean? Or then I can't buy him dinner that, or whatever it is. We can't.
Right.
We are way too competitive for that. So we just agreed to like, you know what? We'll be on the same team if we're playing pickup or whatever. Like we'll play pickup against each other, but one-on-one, ones get too heated.
Larry,
Go ahead.
Ross, you going in?
Nah, go ahead, Chris.
Okay. Hey, Larry, it's Chris Conner here, man. I want to know. So a big factor in this team, or how far this team goes, is going to have to do with a lot of guys transitioning into different roles on the floor that maybe they've never really been asked to master. You've seen different roles around talented teams, youth up and coming, like across your career, including like with this one, when you landed last year. What's important when it comes to new roles on the floor with a team that has this kind of talent and expectations?
So over the past, I don't know when it started to happen, but over the past few years, the term role player has become like a dirty word or something, and or like a disrespect. Like it's crazy because if you look at the best teams in the NBA, they have some of the best role players, and some of the best role players get some of the best contracts, and so it's extremely important. And like you said, coming here last year. We have all the scoring in the world, right? Like even without Z last year, JV could get 25 in a game. CJ, BI was scoring at a ridiculous rate. Obviously Trey, Devonte, like these guys, we have scoring. So, for me, I just wanted to step right in and, go snatch some of their misses off the rim, go play energy defense, go communicate, talk my backline defense, make sure all these guys know where they're supposed to be. But, especially for me, my role is going to change possession by possession, honestly. Depending on who I'm out there with, if I'm out there with a second group and our, some of our scorers, so CJ, BIZ are sat down getting a break, yeah, I'm going to be asked to do a little bit more ball handling, a little bit more stuff like that, which no problem, I can do that. But if I'm out there in closing units where we've got those three horses out there, now it's all right, play defense, grab these things off the rim, go get us extra possessions and get the ball back to the guys that, that put it in the rim at the high rate. So I think the biggest thing in terms of playing your role and adjusting to it is just being willing and open to do whatever it takes to help us win. It does take a special mind. I think these guys on the team care about each other enough to sacrifice whatever it may be to fill a void or fill a role that we may need them to.
Hey Larry, this is Ross here. I gotta go back and bring you back a little bit. A good buddy of mine I played football and basketball with growing up was Leonard Washington. So I saw you play a couple times on TV.
Washington, Lake Charles,
back in Wyoming.
Louisiana.
That's my guy. Yeah, we grew up together, hooped together, played football. He's a hell of an athlete. So I remember seeing you as a freshman and sophomore. So it was kind of, as you've gone throughout your career, that's sort of always stuck in the back of my mind, was watching you as a freshman and sophomore with Leonard bullying people around in Wyoming. But you talked a little bit about last year and how that, without Zion, how things looked. What do you think that experience factor of just getting in, going through that stretch run, getting into the playoffs? There's still a lot of young guys on the team that are going to be expected to play really big roles. I mean, do you think that's truly something that you guys are going to kind of carry over with you, especially the young guys, in terms of being confident about going through the season and having higher expectations than previous years here?
I think we're going to be able to carry it well. Yeah, obviously, like Trey, Herb, and Jose, 3 rookies playing that at that caliber of a playoff series so early was massive for them in terms of their experience. And when we get there this season, they're not going to be starstruck by the stage. And I honestly, I think us having a little bit of overachievement, a little bit of success at the end of last year. I mean, shoot, CJ didn't even know the plays. I didn't know the plays either. Like we knew like 3 or 4 plays that we could run, but it takes a while to adjust. So now you've got us 2 on the same page, and you've got a good leadership in the locker room, guys that are going to keep us focused and whatnot. But honestly, the biggest thing when I look forward to this year and look, and kind of think about what last year did for us, the biggest thing for me is the fact that Zion hasn't played real basketball in over 500 days. For anybody to expect him to come in and look like he did that 27-9 or whatever, that now he could. I've seen it at practice. The dude's a monster. But if we're you want to give him time to find himself, find his rhythm, get back in shape, take a few hits, fall, and realize that he's okay. And we have the luxury of being able to let him go through his ebbs and flows of getting back into playing while still having a team that took the best team in the NBA last season to all it could handle in 6 games.
Yeah.
So
right.
I think that's going to be massive for us as we go forward.
Yeah, Larry, a couple more questions. Once again, presented to you by Company Burger, located at 4600 Ferret Street. Larry, I was talking to the guys before. You were probably part of one of the greatest, NBA moments in history with Kobe's last game. Kind of take me through that atmosphere. I noticed that I rewatched the game. What was it, a couple nights ago? I noticed you're in that closing, group. What was that moment like?
I've played 8 years, and hopefully I've got another 8 in front of me, but I just can't imagine, apart from winning a ring, I can't imagine something else that when I'm done would sit atop my Everest in terms of basketball moments. That was, like I could get chills thinking about it now, just the way it all happened. Like we knew, all right, it's Kobe's last night. He's going to, get him up, go out with a bang, but there's not you can't tell me there's a person on the planet that thought that was going to happen, because we had seen him all year, and he was, getting subbed out in the first quarter and icing every joint in his body. And, we saw him hobbling to the plane. It's just like, all right, this dude, he's held together by duct tape at this point. And, for him to be able to put on a show one last time in the manner that he did, because he struggled early, and then the fact that he just caught fire and closed the game the way only Kobe Bryant could do. And I'll never forget the game. We were going back and forth with the Jazz, back and forth, and he hit his last free throws or whatever, and we got a stop. He grabbed the rebound and threw it full court to Jordan Clarkson, who who dunked it, but that sealed it. It was over. And the coolest moment for me was I was the first one to run back down the court, and he hadn't crossed half the court. He was dead tired. Ran back down the court, and I was the first one to I just hugged him, and I just said thank you. Thank you for being a part, letting me be a part of this. Thank you for this year. Just so grateful to be a part of a moment like that in history.
Yeah, Larry. Jared again. Also, again, 2-part question. Did Kobe throw y'all shoes away when y'all blew that lead in Portland, or got beat really bad in Portland? And 2, it seems like you spend a lot of time giving back, even going back to your time in Cleveland. You give a lot back to the community. Was that something like your pops instilled in you, or is this something that you just decided to do and just kept going with it?
One, yes, yeah, our shoes were, yeah, they were gone. I think it was me, Julius, D'Angelo. I mean, we got whooped. I don't remember what the score was or what was going on. I know, I just know it was disgusting. It was foul, but yeah, our shoes are in the trash can. And two, I wouldn't say it's something that my I mean, yeah, I mean, my parents definitely always taught us to give back, and if you're more fortunate than others, if you have more to give, then give it and whatnot. But for me, it was it's just kind of something that I love to do. I'm not supposed to be here at this point. I would have never thought I'd be in a position to make the kind of money that I'm making, and have the kind of impact on positivity that I could have. And so I almost feel like I need to, not like I need to, like it's a negative thing, but like I feel like I need to. There are a lot of people that can benefit from some of the things that I've been fortunate enough to reach in this life, and that started in Cleveland going back home, but I've got a similar program that we're going to announce soon for here in New Orleans and the public school district that I'm really excited about. So it's I don't know, it's just something that makes you feel good, and I'm going to keep on doing as long as I am able to.
For sure.
Yeah, I feel that, Larry. That just good human stuff, like just being a good human. It's Lito again. So let's say you have a lot of versatility in your game. You're shooting the three really well right now. You can handle the ball. You bring the ball up the court. Your IQ offensively and defensively. What do you think is your most underrated skill? And the second part of that question is, do you have a favorite dunk so far, or a favorite player that you've dunked on?
So my most underrated skill, I would say that Pels fans hadn't really gotten to see is my passing. That's one thing that in Cleveland I got to do a whole lot more, and playing out of delay action, and we call it auto, but it's where the big's up top and the guard, and you kind of play through the big. I can really see the court, and of course I keep that ball in that one palmed hand, and I can whip some passes around pretty good like that. So I'm excited to do more of that with the second unit is when I'm able to. So they'll see more of that, but honestly, it's one that everybody's seen. My favorite dunk, the one, I'm obviously I'm biased. My opinion is compromised here, but like when I go back and watch that dunk in Brooklyn against Brook Lopez, that one to me was, sometimes I'll watch it and be like, I don't even know who that is. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how that happened. Just I seriously, I don't. I jumped from far away. He helped me up a little bit. It must have been the perfect storm. But funny story on that one is the very next summer, Brook Lopez signed with the Lakers, and I never really said two words to the guy, but he signed for the Lakers, and he walks in the gym just to work out with us, and I go to introduce myself. I'm like, "Hi, Brook, I'm Larry." He slaps my hand away and goes, "Yeah, we met in the air last year."
Oh no!
But getting ahead of it like that, I thought that was pretty funny. Brook's an all-time teammate. He's a good dude.
All right, Larry. I'll ask you one more question here, and we'll let you get out of here. So a lot has been made about the Pelicans' ability to score offensively, and I mean that's been where a lot of the attention has been. But when you look at the excitement from the fans and national media, Zion's returning, and the talent is there. But of course, like any major success that the team has will probably depend on how solid the defense is. Can you maybe give a strength that the team has on that side of the ball that maybe is kind of unnoticed, but you can't use the words flexibility or depth?
Okay. Yeah, there's no problem. What a lot of people wouldn't expect or hasn't been pointed out yet is the fact that there's multiple kinds of good defenders in the NBA, right? Like you've got your Herb Jones, you've got your Jose's, your sick'em guys, right? The guys that you just put on a Devin Booker, and that's gonna be an off night. But you got your Rudy Gobert's, your rim protectors and stuff like that. But the defender that hasn't gotten a lot of attention is the off-ball defender, right? Always in the right position, clogging driving lanes before they even happen. And we have a lot of those guys. Honestly, the first name that comes to mind is Devonte Graham. Devonte is an unbelievable off-ball defender, like unbelievable off-ball defender. He's always in the right position. He's always, always the low man. He's just rarely in the wrong spot when it comes to off-ball. And that's where I shine as well, off-ball. And then I just think that's the biggest thing that people haven't realized or haven't seen about us yet is the kind of off-ball defenders we have. And Devonte, myself, Najee, Jose is actually really getting better at it as well. Aside from being a sick'em guy, Trey Murphy's length on the backside is great. Obviously, Herb is a world-class defender from every perspective. But we've got guys that can really cause some trouble with the backline defense, and of course, we've got guys that are going to get ISO'd. We've got guys that are going to be put in, that teams are going to try to pick on. But I think we are more than capable of making up for that with our length on the backside and positioning.
Well, Larry, we really can't thank you enough, man, for coming on. We're so excited for the upcoming season, and excited to get you your shirts, flock around and find out. We can't thank you enough for supporting the show, man. And seriously, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come on.
Of course, no problem, guys. I enjoyed talking some hoops with you.
Awesome.
Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
Appreciate it, Larry.
Take it easy, guys.
That was Larry Nance joining the show. Thanks, Larry. Shout out for joining us, man. That was awesome. That was that was a fun interview.
The best part is the insight. I mean, I think our eyes all kind of opened up when he just, when he kind of went in on Devonte being look, I consider Larry Nance to be a pretty heady defender, a guy that knows what he's doing, has been around for a while. That's pretty glowing praise for him to say that, because I think that really is something that we don't. The normal person's not sitting there being like, hey, who had a really nice game off ball defending? Devonte. It's interesting. That's the type of insight that those guys are able to sort of provide. He's playing with them every day. So that's the best part about it, I think.
Yeah.
Seeing what they see.
I think it was really insightful. I think Larry's a good interview, right?
Yeah.
Definitely goes in depth with his thoughts. It doesn't leave anything out. Again, man, it was cool, bro. I think that was probably, I don't know, even for our viewers, one of our best interviews. But that's up there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, Lito.
I'm sorry.
No.
I was just like that was it was fun. It was fun to get insight from him, and I mean, he even asking him questions, he gave you more than what you asked for.
Yeah.
The land yap on his questions was his answers were dope.
Yeah. Chris.
I can't believe Lito just pulled out the word lanyap.
I'm telling y'all.
I mean the vocab, brother,
stretching vocab, man.
Brother,
stretching vocab,
man. That we getting that on a shirt. I don't know if it's gonna be Boot Crew, but we getting that on a shirt.
We did get the Fred Vincent shirt going.
That's crazy.
Archive today.
I got a shirt for you. We go talk.
Oh man,
don't say it right now.
No, that was really a great interview. I don't know if I was surprised. It was just kind of really dope to be in the moment. I mean, the balance of what was asked and how he, Lito ended up saying, he went beyond what was, maybe expected or what he could have provided and just would have been enough. And then, man, like whatever he has going on, that's going to be unveiling soon with the public schools is,
Right.
I mean, that's kind of what I'm hanging on to right now, because I know he had been kind of hitting on doing some things in the community when he first got to New Orleans. But damn, like that's the one that I'm really kind of looking at right now. Like, you know, he didn't have to speak about that there, because I don't know if he's talked. I mean, has he talked about that like anywhere else?
I haven't heard it.
I mean, he did a thing with the teachers, right, at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
it was on Twitter, that kind of thing.
But not like nothing like that.
A teacher reached out, said she needed something, and he helped out. But like, you know, just to say he's going to do something with, you know, one of the most notorious public school systems in America. I said notorious for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, just to do that, that's pretty admirable. I mean, he ain't been here 6 months. You know what I'm saying? Like to do that it's pretty cool, man.
And you got the exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like that's a culture guy right there. You can tell, like, that's a glue guy, like what he just did right there. So, no, that was an awesome show, guys. Once again, presented to you by DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook is the official sports betting partner of the NFL and Boot Crew Media. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code BOOT to get $200 in free bets if your team wins. When you place a $5 bet on any football game, that's code BOOT. Even if you bet on the Saints, you'll get $200 in free bets.
Why would you do that though?
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter at this point. So when only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, Lido, 5, Ross, Chris Connor. Chris, we got spaces Wednesday. We're doing pre spaces, or we're doing post spaces.
We're doing post spaces live from Arizona, because I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be watching the team that you probably shouldn't bet on.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
Thursday.
right. Thursday.
But Wednesday I'll be in Arizona, so I'll be at some bar intoxicated when the game is over. We will have spaces, for better for worse.
Good.
Good.
Anything else y'all got?
Nah, man, we're
Maybe
good.
get a little banged up.
All right, guys. Well, you know, best top 5. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube. We'll see y'all later.
Peace.